So, as promised in the previous lesson, let's do some drills around the idea of hitting offline. Let's make them a little bit more challenging as well. So introduce some footwork. So let's start with the one we looked at as 1, 1, 2, and then let's change back straight away. Step out at 1, 2, foot straight back, and then change into this kind of very off-centered jab. So it's very much the kind of side-on posture I was criticising at the end of the last video. That's if I left it in. Maybe I was being too critical. If you know what I'm talking about, then I've decided I wasn't being too critical. So like that. So, and we can start using a little bit of a compensatory step here. It's something that you see particularly. I call it in my mind a Yao Chen Long step, because it's a step that Yao Chen Long does all the time, where he goes 1, 2. When he's going to change, he does a little step. He usually doesn't do an explosive full step like that. He usually do that 1, 2. You can't always see it, but he goes 1, 2 like that. So it's a much more stable way. Because we'll look at another video, but we want to use explosive stepping. Sometimes we do the whole thing in one movement, but it can be quite dangerous to do that. So just a little 1, 2 step is very often better. So we do 1, 2, and a little 1, 2 like that into the. But what we've got to time it for is the Michael Jackson step like that into the jab. And it's okay. We're moving well off the centre line. We're following someone 1, 2, 3 like that. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So each punch is on a different point. So we've escalated our basics here. So follow me. Do it slowly first. 1, quarter rooting, so not all the way down. 2, and we use the screwing force back. 1, and screw force, and then back, and then change into the jab this way. So 1, 2 for this. The heel goes 1, not all the way down, and then locks for the. This isn't a hook; it's an offline jab. So jab offline, and then change jab, so they're all jabs. So. It's not completely. We're not completely groin first, crotch first posture. Still covered a little bit. I mean, this discussion's about. You can always be hitting the crotch. You can always have your leg broken. You can always be punched in the throat, in the face, pretty much. You've got to do something. So again, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, left foot comes first, and then change right foot, a little like that. 1. One more with me, like that. Good, let's change it the other way. So, remember, we need to be ambidextrous, and the sooner you start training this, the better. Don't slack on this. Later on, the system itself becomes unworkable if you haven't trained to be ambidextrous. Not completely unworkable, but it's one of the key ideas. So 1, quarter rooting back, and the arms come back, change, and you can see how the posture comes down and then it expands again. It's what we call structural expansion. We also have structural contraction. We'll look at both of those another time. 1, 2, then which foot goes first? Right foot, change into the left foot and left jab. So again, slowly. 1, 2, offline jab, change, step into the jab. Like that. All using what we call somatic timing. I'll look at that another time, but in simplest terms, it's just the bounce of the muscle 1, 2 into the next posture like that. So now we do a little bit faster. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. Now we try and get it on our full speed, but keep our overall structural movement. So. I'm keeping them up quite tight in, not too much extension on the punch. Next we'll begin with It's not something we've necessarily looked at, but it really helps us understand this idea of the structure. Structure doesn't have to be in line with the kinetic chain as such, if we want to use that term. One, so we're hitting out with the forearm, like imagine hitting down into someone's guard, something like that, hitting down that way. And that's a good example of when the force hits, all the pressure is on this joint here. So that's taking a lot of it, so that separates, it dissipates a lot of the strength of the body. So it doesn't really matter how tense the rest of the body is, it can't support that. You know, the joint itself has got to be strong enough to take the posture, but this is the principle that the target is. We can get a lot of force with this strike, not compared to maybe a cross or something like that, but to take down an arm or something like that is quite easy. And this is something, I had a really serious fight, which I lost. It was with more than one person. I'm not entirely sure how many, but there's at least 3 or 4. And this is one of the things that really works. Like take the guard down like that, and I knock someone clean over like that, and someone punch me in the back of the head. So some things you can't account for. So we won this big structural expansion like that. Let me change. So remember, when we punch off line with a cross, we don't go into this off balance movement, we just use our stepping. So 1, shut down, open, and then change this way. And we've talked about the idea of opening and closing before. This is opening, like a jab is opening the body, and a cross is closing the body because everything comes close together like that. So 1, open, and then 2. This is structural expansion, and 2, closing, structural contraction into it comes together like that. 2 ways of developing force, like they're both the same thing really, but we call it structural expansion, structural contraction. We'll look at that in another video, a couple of videos. So 1, 2, 1, 2. And we can do this, we'll just practice the posture, but in your mind you can chop that down and just punch it. You can chop and grab, pull and punch. Okay, let's do it a little bit faster. The key things to get is the open, and then close. Open, close, open, close, open, close. Structural expansion, structural contraction. That's how you're using Farley to develop force. So full speed. You can see there in the 3 that I did, they were timed differently. Only the middle one used what we call somatic timing. I'll look at that another time, but it's something to be aware of at this point, that when we do combinations, we have to make compromises between speed and power and how we distribute speed and power. So sometimes we can go 1, 2, and sometimes we go 1, 2 like that. But in which case, that second one is less powerful. Again, we'll look at that another time. I've already filmed it, it's already set to come out. We'll get to that another time. So I'll do a bit slower. I'll use what we call chain Farley to make it easy. So 1, 2, slows down the posture. So hitting down like that. Either way, it's rotational Farley around the axis, but one is opening, one is closing. One is structural expansion, one is structural contraction. So the other way, 1, and then change like this. Open, close. So 1, 2, 1, 2. A bit faster. 1, 2, 1, 2. Don't start cheating by starting with your hands close together. Start with your normal posture. 1. So the posture goes back and change. 1, 2. Use chain Farley first. That's 1, 2. Commit to both postures equally. Then as you speed it up, use the bounce from your shoulders to speed up the movement. It's what we call a compound movement. We take it from being 2 movements and transform it into being a single movement. And we call that somatic flow. Again, I'll look at that another time. Like that. Like that. Just like that. Next, you have to engage this one a bit yourself. Imagine where your centre line is. If we're going to do a normal hook, to the centre line. We want to hook 45 degrees over like that. Our target's moved over there. We don't change the footwork, we just change the angle of the punch, and the pivot routine becomes more extreme. So we're going to go 1, 2 like that. Then we're going to change the footwork just flat like that and change into an uppercut like this. So we're going to 1, 2 like that. 1, and again the front foot goes first and then the back foot. We do it so fast you can hardly tell. 1, 2 like this. 1, 2. Don't overscrew the uppercut screwing force with this hand. Keep the bone edge, broadly speaking, out. It's very tempting to overscrew to get more screwing force on, but then that reveals the softer underside of your arm. Unless you're like a Hung Chuan southern boxing master whose arms are like iron. So 1 over this way and change this way. Just a little bit of screwing force so that the arm just turns up like that. Again, that's a learned skill, so it's the reality of the context of the fight. Ideally you don't want that softer part that way, you want it that way, and it's also stronger structurally like that. So 1, 2, so it's just like a little shift back, a little shuffle back into the posture. Like someone's advancing in on you, like that. And the other way, 1 across this way, and then which foot moves first? Lead foot, then change into the back. So look away centre line is for a normal hook, shift it across 45 degrees, don't have your chin up, this kind of very proud Yiquan posture that some people have. You won't be very proud for long doing that because you're going to get sparked out. 1, so the chin is behind, or it can be much further behind if you prefer, like that. Right behind, guarded up, and then change into and see the arm just comes like, not fully flat but just up like that. That's the maximum amount of screwing force we can safely put on that without revealing the underside of the arm. So 1, and then from here this screws up, like the shoulder drops and screws in like that. This is how we use what we call short power. The shoulder drops into to create more movement like that. So you can see how that movement is 1, 2, chain far lead, release far lead, release force, chain far lead. What we want is somatic flow using our relaxed shoulder muscle. 1, 2 like that. Which, to be clear, does lose some power inevitably. It's a compromise. 8 times out of the way. Next, a little bit more challenging. So we're going to pull right back with the first foot and almost a triangle step and round into the back, kick back routine like that. 1, and we're going to punch this way. So we're going to change the angle from how we punch. And again, the chin is not proud. Chin is down, head is down. So we're 1, 2 like that. I think what we'll do is take a step forward from here and go straight into the cross like this with a fast, explosive step like that. So we're moving away from our fixedness on there just being a target in front of us, which is just you see when people doing bag work or shadow boxing, it's like, well, your opponent moves, you know. It's no good just being able to kick forward. You need to be able to kick to the side and hit different angles, so we need to think about it. So I'm going to go 1 like that, and then again this foot comes first, and then 1, 2 locks with the kickback routine, harmony of foot and hand into the punch, into the cross like that, and hold at the lock point. So from this way, pull back 1, and then 2 into the cross. Again, doing it as 2 clear postures, chain far lead, move to avoid that horrible noise. So, ooh, yeah. You won't always balance them exactly spot on. That's just the reality of the game. Disappoint your expectations that no one's making any mistakes. Sometimes you get it wrong. So, one more time. So the way, front foot moves first. Almost like a triangle step. So it comes in and then it goes out. It goes out into the kickback routine like that. So what was a jab becomes a cross. This is one of the reasons why we need this ambidextrous ability in each one, because this is happening all the time with our structural movement. So 1, 2 like that, and then the back foot comes forward, and the front foot goes back into the kickback routine, and the cross kicks back onto the ball of the foot. So we're using more explosive footwork now, doing it a little bit faster. Still 2 movements though. 1, 2, like that. 1, 2. Chained movement, not yet what we call a compound movement. It's not yet a somatic flow, it's chain farley. Now we start increasing the somatic flow, bringing it compound. 1, 2, 1, 2 with the shoulders. See what I'm doing? See, whole body power is not just whole body power. Whole body structure is not just whole body structure. It's a whole science. It's a whole science, you know. We bring it to the people, we enlighten the people. We don't cheat the people. We don't even charge the people. Because we are the people. Ain't very political. Each one party. Like that. More of a flow. So next, we do something that we haven't looked at in the previous video, which is quite useful. And that's if we want to use a backhand punch to punch this angle. We also didn't look at punching that way, but that's a little bit more complex and we'll maybe look at another time. But this time we can do punch off angle with the cross this way. So 1, 2, like this. 1. And should get a bit of flash. Let's get a bit of flash with it. So why not? 1. It's good rooting exercise anyway. It's what we call a slide set, but we'll look at it another time because we're 1, 2 change. See how the foot stops like that, the ball of the foot, and we elbow back like that. I'm telling you, it doesn't work. There's so many fights we can see where this posture works. It's unbelievable. So like that. 1 step like that. It's good for your routines to practice. So don't leave your back. Don't leave it at the lock point just because it starts drilling in, leaving your back open. Not that the lock point should drill in, staying at the lock point, but it just feels particularly the wrong thing to do. So like that. This way. So the other way, punch out. Which leg comes forward? Left, and then round. Sets there, or stops there if you like. So 1, 2, 1. The foot comes in. Foot comes in to make the posture easier, and then throw your body around, and the leg doesn't really drag you around, the arm and upper body does, and the leg just kind of slides around with it. So from here, offline, then hitting. And here you can't really get a somatic flow in the same way in any case, because for one thing the punch itself just feels a little bit structurally weak because you've broken the alignment with the root and the energy is going that way. So you're relying a lot more on your Farley around the axis. So one, we can flow. If you flow too fast like that, then you lose the penetration, the time that you need for penetration to hit into the target. So some postures we just have to break up into chained movements rather than relying on flow. So one, and you've really got to hold it in a little bit longer to get the power transmitted. And then 1, 2, like that. 1, and the foot lands before the elbow, but it's the shoulders that pull it around. The foot follows, foot lands, and then the elbow hits. And it doesn't matter that the people who have a trivial understanding of the idea of the harmony of the hand and the foot in Yourself Yiquan think that's a problem. It's nothing to do with that. It's to do with, I look at it in another video, but it's how the posture sets. So 1, 2, here the posture sets like the energy goes, the body's force goes down into the back heel as the elbow hits, and that's the harmony that we want. Again, the science of this thing is almost lost because the people who are most being listened to just don't know this stuff. So I despair, really, I despair. I don't know what to do about it. So I'm doing everything I can. So 1, like that, and then hit. So other than that, just practice everything. As I said before, practice everything. And you can also start practicing on different lines like this that now just massively expands your structural ability. So you can start thinking like, it doesn't matter like, oh, what's that for? It's for training the body structure. That's what it's for, more than any particular thing. And similarly, we can 1, 2, 3, you know, or 1, 2, 3, even back that way. I'm just breaking them down into drills. My voice is going a bit, so I'll leave it there, but hope these past 2 videos have been quite useful, and just maybe just take your basic punches, hopefully significantly upgraded people's understanding, people who didn't get it at first, differences between things like whole body power and whole body integrated structure, differences, how we use them, how we can now start to think about punching offline. Just think about how much that, if you just take what you already know and expand that into the idea of punching offline, you've massively increased how much you know in terms of, it's not about techniques, but this explains why it's not about techniques. Those core things just expand into an infinite number of different things. But by being able to punch offline, you're getting that one step closer to being able to use it practically. It's more useful. So I'm gonna stop talking. One love. Thanks for watching the channel. I can't tell you how much it means. Some people actually do watch the videos and benefit from them. So do leave a comment, you know, and just say hi. Also really matters. Thanks very much. See you in the next one.